Good morning. Welcome to the Rapid City Planning Commission for January 4th, 2018. If any member of the audience wishes to speak to an item on the Planning Commission agenda, there are speaker request forms on the tables along the left wall. Please fill out the request with the agenda number of the item you wish to speak to and hand it to the staff seated on the left of the dais. At this time, we would like to ask that if any member of the audience has a cell phone or other electronic device, that you either turn it off or turn the ringer to silent. If you need to take a call, please step out to the hallway so that the meeting is not disrupted. Consent calendar. Items 1 through 6 have been placed on the consent calendar and may be approved as a group. Action will be taken on all consent items in accordance with staff's recommendation by a single vote. Any item may be removed by the consent calendar by any planning commissioner, staff member, or audience member for separate consideration at this time. The findings of this planning commission are recommendation to the city council. The city council will make the final decision with the exception of the following items. Item 2, 17 PD 054. The Rapid City Planning Commission's actions on this items are final unless any party appeals that decision to the Rapid City Council. All appeals must be submitted in writing to the Community Planning and Development Services Department by close of business on the 7th full calendar day following action of the Planning Commission. Are there any items 1 through 6 that staff would like removed from the consent calendar? No, thank you. Are there any items 1 through 6 Planning Commission would like removed? Yes, item 6. Are there any items that the audience would like removed from the consent calendar? The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar for items 1 through 5 in accordance with staff recommendations. Motion to approve. Motion made by Mike G and second by Mike Q. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 6.
Thank you. I have a question of staff on item number 6, or a couple of questions maybe. First, in that one drawing, it shows that, there's a right-of-way and there's not zoning on the right-of-way side. Are you going to need to go back and rezone that little strip, or is it going to be okay just the way it is?
So our zoning ordinance, or our municipal code rather, has a statement in there that right-of-way does not have to be zoned exclusively. It's automatically zoned up to the middle of the right-of-way as per the adjacent property.
Okay, thanks, Vicki. The other thought I had on this item was the soil stability of that hillside. It reminds me of the one we just recently talked about last year that was over by South Middle School, where the shale was really bad, and trying to get houses built on that hillside. Is there a requirement that there's some kind of geotech that's going to be required before they can build on that? I know I read the staff report, but it didn't say that word, so I wasn't sure.
So yes, the short answer is yes. There is erosion and sediment control that has to be brought in as a part of the development engineering plan application, as well as a drainage plan, which also goes to the soils. And then, Ted, I believe that a geotechnical analysis is needed to determine the pavement design for the street section. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we will get that. And certainly, this is an area that this developer has built in the past. He is very aware that as a part of Park Hill, that is an ongoing issue. To date, that's something that he has brought in for previous phases, and we anticipate that he'll bring that information again for this phase.
Okay, so through the geotech report, it would show whether if they cut into the, towards the bottom of that hillside, it won't affect the houses that are up on top. That would be part of the discussion.
If I could defer to Ted.
Thank you. Yes, they'll need to do a complete geotechnical analysis, which would include soil borings, recommendations for stability, restoration. They're also, with the newer, not so new, but a newer building permit requirement, they'll need to provide an engineered foundation design, geotechnical recommendation for that. So those are all parts of their infrastructure improvements and their building design, building
Okay.
construction.
Thanks, Ted. Thank you, Vicki.
See no other lights up. Is there a, entertain a motion on this item? Okay, moved by Rachel, seconded by Kurt. On this item to approve per staff recommendations. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 7.
Item number 7 is a final plan development to allow a single-family and townhome residential development property that's located northwest of the intersection of Homestead Street and Copperfield Drive. Property is zoned a mix of low-density residential district and medium-density residential district. So in medium-density residential district, your single-family and townhomes would be a permitted use. In the low-density residential district, townhomes are permitted when in a planned development, and the entire property is in a planned development or planned development designation. Currently, the property is void of any structural development, although you'll see in some of the pictures that they're doing some grading work out there. In the past, we saw a major amendment to a planned development for a property on that northwest corner of Copperfield Drive and Homestead Street to allow a townhome and to reduce the front yard setbacks from 25 feet to 20 feet along Copperfield. Planning Commission did approve that. The future land use is urban neighborhood, and here you can see where it's located within the city, Homestead Street being a collector, and then a future arterial street along that north boundary line, future Anamosa Street. The one exception that the applicant is requesting is that the minimum required front yard setback for townhome lots be reduced from 25 feet to 20 feet. The low-density residential district and the medium-density residential district both require a minimum 20-foot setback along a sub-collector street. So in order to maintain the setbacks and the keep in character with existing development, they're asking for the same reduction along sub-collector streets for two-unit townhome lots from 25 feet to 20 feet. Some of the layouts proposed. So this is a multi-phase development. They're showing all the way up to where that proposed East Anamosa Street being, although that's a future phase. What they're proposing for townhomes right now are phases 3 and 4A, which would be an extension of Copperfield Drive. Those would be two-unit townhome lots. The future phase 4B and all these future phases may be a mix of single-family or two-unit townhomes, depending on what the market calls for. And so they're asking that Planning Commission leave the availability open so that they can either do single-family or townhomes and two-unit townhomes in the future. But they are indicating that phases 3 and 4A will be two-unit townhome lots. Elevation showing character of the townhomes, and then this is looking north into the property from the end of Copperfield Drive. See some of that equipment out there. The sign is posted on the property. Looking northwest into that area, and you can see it's undeveloped at this time. This is actually the lot that was previously approved for a townhome, two-unit townhome, but that's the development that's to the south and west of the proposed area. And then looking south along Copperfield Drive towards Homestead Street and the single-family residential that's primarily to the south. So this is in compliance with the comprehensive plan, which supports creating a greater mix of housing options, whereas this is primarily single-family. Now it'll be, add some 2-unit townhomes into the area. This is looking to the south and east at some of the development in that area, and to the east, across the draw there is some light industrial development, and you can see that equipment out there already grading. Staff is recommending that the final plan development be approved with stipulations noted in the staff report. One of those being that before they get a building permit, they'll have to final plat these lots. Are there any questions for staff?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just to bring to your attention that we've brought before you several plan development requests that are asking that the setback for townhomes be reduced to comply with what we would require for single-family homes. We will be working on an ordinance amendment. When we changed the front setback for residences on residential streets, it was kind of an oversight that in the townhome section of the ordinance, it separately calls out that those setbacks must be 25 feet. So we'll be bringing that ordinance amendment forward, and in the future, you would not have to consider that exception.
Okay. Karen moved to approve this item per staff recommendations. Rachel seconded. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 8.
Item number 8 is 17 UR 025. It's a major amendment to a conditional use permit to allow an electronic reader board sign, property located at 1330 East St. Patrick Street. Property is zoned general commercial district, as our properties to the east and west, light industrial to the south, and then there's a residential district to the north. Property is developed today with a casino. So this is a major amendment to a conditional use permit. The conditional use permit was to allow a casino, so we're not or on-sale liquor establishment in conjunction with a casino. So this isn't a review of that part of it. It's just for the signage. But this shows the property is developed. Future land use is mixed-use commercial. East St. Patrick Street is identified as a revitalization corridor and a principal arterial street on the city's major street plan. Not showing up very well, but there's an existing pole sign located on the south side of the property along East St. Patrick Street. The existing pole sign, the applicant is proposing to replace the existing signage on that with a two-sided electronic reader board measuring approximately 5 feet by 5 feet and with signage on both sides of that sign, so approximately 55 square feet total. So here's elevation showing the existing signage that's out there. And then this is the proposed LED sign would be approximately 25 feet high. Sign code allows a maximum of height of 45 feet for a pole sign, and then this property is allowed approximately 624 square feet of signage. So the applicant is proposing approximately 25 on each side, so a total of 55 square feet. So the proposed sign is in compliance with the sign code. Staff's photos, you see the sign posted on the property right below the pole sign. Looking to the west along East St. Patrick Street, to the south that I believe that's the one of the food warehouses. Looking to the east along East St. Patrick Street towards the intersection with Campbell Street. This is looking into the parking lot of the property, and you can see there's the existing screening fence along that north lot line, and then looking at the adjacent properties to the east. This item is before the Planning Commission because it is an electronic reader board located within a conditional use permit, and the Planning Commission has requested that all electronic reader board signs within conditional use permits or plan developments be brought before the Planning Commission for review. So if the Planning Commission determines that the sign is appropriate for this location, then the staff recommends that the major amendment be approved with stipulations noted in the staff report. Are there any questions for staff?
Okay, we've got a light up from Mike Quasney.
How high will this sign be?
Approximately 25 feet.
Okay, and the existing one is 24, so it's basically the same as what's there?
It's basically, they're not replacing the sign, they're just replacing the signage at the top of the pole.
How much over the building, the existing building is that? And I guess my question is, because it's going to be a sign that's going to have lights, it's going to be brighter, there's houses right behind that, will that affect them? And I guess I couldn't tell by the picture, and maybe we can put that back up to see. Is there not homes right behind this, on the other side of that fence?
To the north.
Correct.
Fletcher, if you could show the slide of the parking lot looking north. So in the sign code for any of our LED lighting, it's required that they have automatic dimmers within them so that as the skies get darker, the lighting reduces as well. Please note that if this property did not have a conditional use for the on-sale liquor in conjunction with the casino, this would just be a sign permit. You would not see it. It's only because it's in a conditional use, and the Planning Commission has asked that you look at these. In looking at it, certainly it's your determination, but we also had that discussion. The distance to the residential to the north, and even though there is a screening fence that separates the traffic and headlights, with the sign code requiring that the lighting on the LED sign have that automatic capability of dimming as the skies get darker. There's enough streetlights and other things in the area that this shouldn't have much more of an impact than that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Karen, go ahead.
My question is the same thing with the sign code regulations that say they can't scroll and do all that stuff? Is that still in this? Okay, thanks.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
just some ongoing discussions that staff has had after our working session yesterday. Certainly, it's something we'll be looking at in the future, the near future, is if there are issues within the sign code universally, so that it's not just those properties in a conditional use and a planned development, but if there are other factors that should have additional consideration, we would be working with the public, those that represent the sign companies as well as commercial and industrial developers, to see how we might have a better fit in Rapid City along these entrance corridors in particular, or any commercial property that's within close proximity to a residential district. So we'll probably have additional information and items brought before you in the future on signage exclusive of just this property.
Thank you. We'll go to Rachel next.
Yeah, so my question is basically about the hours of operation. I saw the hours of the operation of the business is 10 to 7, or 7 to 10, sorry. But the signs themselves, the e-readers, I couldn't find anything in the sign code about if it's restricted, so it's just 24/7 it can be on?
The applicant's here in the audience, but as you're driving around town in the evenings, most LED signs don't shut down at night. They do get dimmer, but they're 24/7.
Okay.
And the sign code would allow it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. See no other lights up. Oh, here we got Justin. Go ahead.
Thank you. I guess to follow up on that, in the stipulations, from staff, it does say hours of operation shall be limited from 7 to 10. Is that for the business or is that for the sign?
That would be for the business.
Okay.
Remember that this is a major amendment to that conditional use permit, and we need to pull forward those old stipulations because this is going to override what was acted on previously.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, we're still looking maybe for entertain a motion on this item. Motion to approve from Mike. Is there a second? Seconded by Rachel. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to the end. Are there any other discussion items from staff or planning commission?
Ken couldn't be here today. He's at a working session breakfast this morning. And just wanted to thank all of you that could attend the work session yesterday to go over the urban commercial district. We certainly understand those that couldn't attend. However, that was an extremely productive meeting for staff, and getting your input gives us clearer direction as we bring that ordinance forward. And we will be working on the changes that we discussed yesterday. I think it's anticipated that you'll see that in about a month's time.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn from Mike. Second, I'll give it to Kurt. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.